Welcome back to Mad Horse Barbecue. My name is Brian, and in today's video, it's going to be part 2 of this pork butt Weber Smoky Mountain injection video. I guess those are 3 things, but it's going to be a 2-part video. Oh, this is part 2. This is going to focus on, the cook. I'm going to go over how I set up this Weber Smoky Mountain, how I start it, how I run it. Just FYI, this thing gets run with briquettes about 99% of the time. The types of briquettes I'm going to use are the B&B oak briquettes. I think they do really well in here, and I like them so much that I'm not even going to add wood, to this smoker, to this grill for today's cook. You can see it's going already. I'll just say right now, whenever I run this thing, I like to run it at 275 to 300. I don't use the water pan. That's just my preference. I've done enough cooks on it before. Boy, I'm being really expressive with my hand today. Put that back. Put that back down there. But anyways, usually when I run this thing at 275 to 300, the top vent's wide open. The bottom vents are all cracked to about 1/4 away, and it runs pretty good. But like I said, we're gonna go over how to cook the pork butt on the Weber Smoky Mountain. This is the 18-inch Weber Smoky Mountain. If you're seen some of my 18-inch videos, and you've seen some of the 22-inch videos and you don't know which one you want, I will link a video in the description as well as up top. I did do a comparison on the 18 and 22. I have them both. I love having them both. There was a point in time where I sold the 18-inch. I'll never sell it again. I can't believe I sold it. I just can't. It's embarrassing that I sold it. I can't believe I did it. But this is by far my 18-inch here. It's my favorite charcoal grill to run. It's the easiest one to run. I used to run that barbecue goo around here all the time. But once you learn how easy this thing is to run, just by controlling the intakes on here, leaving that top vent wide open, it really is, fun to cook on and puts out really good food. So like I said, this video, part 2 of this series, going over how to cook the pork butt on a Weber Smoky Mountain. So first things first, we got to get the grill going. So I will show you how I do that. All right, guys, good morning, bright and early here in Minnesota. Well, not really bright yet, not really early, not super early. It's past 6 o'clock, so to me that's kind of mid-morning by now. But anyways, gonna be cooking again on the 18-inch Weber Smoky Mountain, and I figured I would just show you how I started up. So again, now the process that I use when I use briquettes, the charcoal we're using today are the B&B oak briquettes. I think for longer cooks on a WSM, this is probably my favorite charcoal to use. That is easily that I can easily find around here. I do like the Blues Hog briquettes. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to find around here. But the B&B oak briquettes not only burn really clean and burn really consistent and for a long time, also gives a nice little flavor to it. So first thing I'm going to do, as you can see, I got the little Weber starter chimney here. And it's about, I'd say pretty close, all the way filled up. And then I have 2 tumbleweeds there. I'm using 2 tumbleweeds this morning because it is a little colder, and I just don't, I'd like to get this thing up and running a little quicker than taking a little longer. So what I got going on is I hauled the coal out the middle, and then I put it in that charcoal. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the tumbleweeds lit. And put the chimney right on top of it. The reason I do this way, or the reason I use this method to light this up, is because briquettes take quite a bit longer to light up than lump wood. So I like putting a little bit of, I like putting my tumbleweeds or my wax cubes right in the charcoal pit. That way it kind of lights the charcoal that's in the grill, and it lights the stuff that's in the chimney all at the same time. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is let this thing burn probably for about 10 minutes or so, and we'll pick back up then. This thing's been going for about 10 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and dump it in. You notice that when I hollow out the middle, I hollow out the middle for a reason. This is when I dump this in, I'm gonna dump it right in the middle, and the heat's gonna start in the middle, and it's gonna disperse out. So go ahead and dump these coals in. Use your chimney to spread it if you want. Right now, all 3 bottom vents are wide open. Should say that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the cook chamber right on. Open the lid for just a second. Cook chamber is on. This might be hard to see through the smoke, but I do not use a water pan. You can see right down to that coals. Typically when I'm using a WSM, I don't use a water pan just because I really like the flavor I get without the water pan. Simply put, the flavor that I get dripping off the coals coming back up is really, really, really good. And to me, you just don't get that when you use the pan. The pan does have its benefits. There are times that I do use that pan, but this is not one of them. And I'd say, if I cook on this thing 10 times, I'm probably not going to use the pan 9 times. I don't find it necessary. So use it if you want. If you don't, you don't. But go ahead, close this thing down. Top vent wide open. I am monitoring temps today with my ThermoWorks my ThermoWorks Smoke X4, which I do have to turn on. Whoops. There we go. see, we're sitting right at about 88, 90. I showed you this in the other video too, but when I monitor temps, I just take the temp probe here and I put it right in the round hole. And that's how I monitor my temps. It's good enough for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave this thing, let this thing kind of start up, let it get going. I'm not gonna use any wood on this cook. I'm just gonna use the flavor of the coal. Cook temps we're shooting for today is 275 to 300. Probably when it gets to about 260, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna shut all the bottom vents to about a quarter of the way, if not maybe a little less, and it should run right where I want it. So next time we're picking back up is when we're throwing the butt on. So we'll see you then. Weber Smoky Mountains up to temp, sitting right at about 275 to 280 right now. So let's go ahead and put the pork butt on. Remember, this pork butt I injected and rubbed down. If you want to see that video, I will link that in the description as well as up top. But put the pork butt on right smack dab in the middle, just like so. Cook them fat cap down because, well, the pork butt's directly exposed to the charcoal being the heat, and I'm going to use that fat cap to protect the meat from the heat. Go ahead, close this thing down. No probes or anything in it. I just know that it's probably going to be on for about, at this temp, I'll probably be on for about 3 to 5 hours before I'm ready to wrap it. So I'll probably check in, I don't know, probably check in a couple hours. I don't know if I'm going to spritz or not. When you cook like this, I think there's plenty of moisture in the grill just from the moisture you get when the fat drips off the coals. I think that adds a little bit of extra moisture to the cook chamber. So sometimes I spray with the WSM, sometimes I don't. So we'll just have to see how it goes. So other than that, we'll pick back up in a few hours. All right, 2 hours in, I'm just gonna do a quick progress report, take a quick peek at the butt. Looking pretty good. I'll guarantee you it's got a ways to go yet. Internal temp, if anybody is interested. Let's do a guess here. I'm gonna guess it's probably at about, I'm gonna guess 115. Let's go ahead and check it. Well, 111, that's fine. Internal temp's at 111. I'm gonna go ahead and just rotate the grate. And then close this thing back down. And we'll be picking back up in a couple hours here, because like I said, I'm gonna let it ride like this until I'm gonna let it ride like that until I get the color I want. It's probably gonna be anywhere from like the 165 to 170 range. So I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be on for another, say, at least couple hours. So we'll check back in right before we wrap, I think. All right, guys, we're about 4.5 hours in. Go ahead and take a quick peek at the butt. Sun's in an odd spot, but looking pretty dang good, getting some pretty nice color on it. I'm hoping it's about time to wrap. Let's go ahead and check the internal temp. I don't really care what it is. It feels like the bark's starting to form on it. It's got some good color to it. If I had to guess, I'd say probably around 165 maybe. Oh, I was wrong again. Man, I've just been off. Usually I can call them temps right away. Sitting at about 173, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pull this off and I'm going to bring it upstairs and I'm going to wrap it up in some foil, so I'll show you how I do that. All right, guys, up in the kitchen. So you got 3 layers of foil here. Got the pork butt. Just go ahead and pick the pork butt up. Put that right on the foil. Go ahead and wrap this up. I'm not going to put any liquid or anything in it. I'm just going to wrap it up in the foil. Just like that, and right back out to the WSM we go with it. Fat cap down, close the grill down. So like I said, this thing's gonna go back on until it's done. Done's gonna be probe tender. Probe tender on a butt for me usually is like 200 to 205. So we'll probably check back in right when this thing's probe tender, and I'll show you how I check for that. All right, we are back. This thing's been wrapped up for about 1.5 hours now. So bringing our total cook time, I think it would be 6 hours. I think we were on for 4.5 hours. Now we've been wrapped for 1.5 hours. So that'd be 6 hours. This thing is done. And the reason I know that is because I came out here and I checked it before I shot this video. But real easy, I told you I was gonna show you how you check this when it's done. You can unwrap it and you can probe it, but what I like to do is I'll just take my Thermapen 1 here and I'll just go in and probe it. And it's like probing like butter. Like there's no resistance when you pull up. Look at the internal temp here. Sitting right at about 203. I don't know if you can see that or not. I should be able to. But, I usually just make 1 hole. I probe it. I'll go in a couple different ways, just making sure it's all probing like butter. And it is. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take this inside. I'm going to wrap it up in some towels. Let it rest right on the, right up on the stove top, just wrapped in some towels. Probably for at least 2 hours. And then we will pick back up when we're pulling into it. So we'll see you then. All right, we are back, and it's time to pull into this thing, give it a try. Real quick, I'm gonna go over to cook times as I'm unwrapping it. It was a total cook time of 6 hours today. 4.5 hours right on the grill. You know, rotated it, I think I rotated it great like one time, but 4.5 hours on like that. And then it ended up being an hour and a half in foil. Brought it up to an internal temp of, oh, what the heck was it? It was like 202, 203, I think. But here is the pork butt. Looking pretty dang good. See if we can get that bone pull. Yeah, bone pull's pretty good. Still piping hot. I only let this thing rest for about an hour and a half because I got impatient. So I'm gonna go ahead and just flip this thing over real quick. I'm gonna get the fat cap pulled off of it. Just because when I do pork butts, I usually always remove the fat cap, especially when I'm doing directly over coals. That fat cap to me is, like I said, I use it just to protect the meat from the heat. So should be good. I'm gonna get it transferred over into the BBQ prep tub. And I'm gonna pour it, some of it right on the pork butt. Not much, just a little bit. That'll be good. Get up a little bit. There's a peek at the pork butt. Let's go ahead and pull into it, see how we did. See, it's still plenty hot. I've let pork butts rest on the stovetop before, just wrapped in 2 towels. Shoot, I've let them rest, I think, for like 6 hours and they're still hot. And this one obviously is that case, but like I said, I only let it rest for about an hour and a half. So it'll be good. Let's take you in for a taste test. Go ahead and grab some of the pork right there, looking pretty dang good. I don't know, sometimes I do close-ups and I find myself not really showing you the close-up. Let's just put some in my hand right here. See if I can show you the close-up of that in my hand. You know, I don't know. My wrist doesn't bend that way, but looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and give it a try. You know, initial thoughts on that pork butt. That open pit barbecue injection by Butcher Barbecue, that is absolutely fantastic. I believe what he was going for behind that is he was trying to mimic what it tastes like to be cooking like whole hogs over coals. I think, you know, correctly, I could be wrong on that. And if he is doing that, I mean, that does take me back to the days to where we had block parties when I was growing up and somebody would always roast a whole hog. Now, this is pretty dang good. So that injection's 2 thumbs up for sure. You know, and then when it comes to the rubs, the grilling addiction and the honey barbecue rub, what I'm gonna do with this pulled pork before I put it away is, man, gotta try some more. What I'm gonna do before I put it away, and I'm gonna take some more to rub and I'm gonna reincorporate it in the pulled pork. But that combo of rub on here is absolutely fantastic. You get a little bit of sweet, you get a little bit of salty, a little bit of black pepper in there, and that's, you know, to me when it comes to pork, that's perfect. So now besides that, Weber Smoky Mountain, you know, right over the coals the whole time. You know, you could see the fat cap. You know, it had a little, I guess a little char on it, but you know, to me, when I'm doing pork butts, that fat cap, that's its main reason. Like, I'm not planning on shredding the 1/4-inch fat cap up in the, you know, in the pulled pork. I kind of think it's gross because I think the pork butts have plenty of intermuscular fat to do that. You know, to do that without reincorporating that fat cap in there. But you know, just one other thing too. You know, Weber Smoky Mountain, right about 275 the whole cook. So 8.9 pound pork butt at 275 took 6 hours. And yeah, you know, super simple to do. I love cooking on that WSM. Just I love the flavor you get when that meat drips off the coals and comes back up. You know, just awesome flavor. It's hard to mimic that anywhere else. But you know, now besides that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. You guys and girls have a good day. See you next time.